Are you planning to leave your company or feeling uncomfortable with your current workplace environment? Well, you are not alone. The Philippine attrition rate and voluntary turnover increased by 15.9% in 2023 from 14.2% in 2022. According to a study from a retail company, this means that more employees are leaving their companies for better salaries and growth opportunities. From a company or employer perspective, a high attrition rate is an indicator of dysfunctionality, which could lead to various problems. To address this issue, I will talk to Kshitij Kohli, Head of Operations at Sun Life Global Solutions, who will share his insights about the reasons and impacts of high attrition rates for companies. He will discuss strategies that companies can use to control their attrition rates. Also, he will discuss the significance of digital innovation to adapt with a shifting workforce. Hello, Mr. Kshitij. Pleasure to meet you. A recent study suggests employees' voluntary turnover and attrition increased to 15.9% in 2023. Why has a higher percentage of employees been leaving in the past year?
Can play their part in, giving flexibility to the employees, giving better compensation and benefits. But I think the role of the supervisors, role of the managers cannot be overstated in this situation. So one of the big reasons why people used to leave a lot more in the industry before was lack of flexibility, ability to navigate through shifts that we have in the in the industry. And you've been working in the industry as well. But I think a big role to play is the role of the supervisors and the leaders in the organization. How inclusive they can make the environment, how comfortable they can make the employees to do their best and give their best, and also what sort of a learning environment there is in an organization. So those are the opportunities that all organizations need to harvest. So if I were to say what's working for Sun Life particularly is really our competitive compensation and benefits, right? So we have a lot of progressive benefits for our employees, whether it is healthcare, whether it is convenience of working from the location that they want, also work-life balance, and also learning and development that we can offer, good career growth opportunities. But above all, I think we also provide a purpose to the employees, because almost all our employees are very pleased to work in an environment of what we call a culture of care. And that culture of care is not only for our clients, right, that purchase and like products, but also for the employees. The experience we've had in the industry, in the contact center space, in the BPO space, both at the global capability centers and also the third party, is that last 2 to 3 years, the attrition's only gone down. I think I was going through a recent CCAP study as well, where our attrition, not our organization only, but also the industry, has been on the decline over the last 2 years, especially since the pandemic started, because our view is that recent changes and shifts in the way organizations allow flexibility to the employees have actually played a big part in reduction in that attrition. So overall attrition in the industry has actually gone down over the last year or two. It's possible that, at an overall Philippines situation, there's some shifts, but we have seen, in my experience also, and whatever our industry, IBPAP and CCAP tell us, that industry attrition is on the decline over the last couple of years. So I would like to say that because of the way we have been paying attention to the employee well-being, to the flexibility, and also some of the other aspects of compensation, benefits, the attrition seems to be going down. Now, these are also cyclic trends. Sometimes for a few years they go down and then sometimes they go up. But for the last 2 to 3 years, I think the industry is seeing some sort of a decline in the attrition rates.
What are the effects of a high employee attrition rate and turnover on a company? Also, how do these factors reflect on a company itself?
If we look at the negative impacts of attrition, it does not create an environment for people to feel good, because people do work in an organization, they get a job for compensation and benefits, but eventually they start working there with their friends, with their colleagues, and for a sense of collective purpose and community. If people keep on leaving from that community and leaving and going somewhere else, then eventually people lose the sense of community and purpose also, right? And that impacts their performance, that impacts their motivation, that impacts eventually the clients that they're supporting, right? So not only it's a lot of added cost and a lot of financial burden on the employer, which is the companies, but also the people who are staying back in the organization, they lose a lot of their friends, colleagues, they lose their sense of community if there's a lot of attrition, right? So it's very important for organizations to make sure that they manage the attrition levels to as low as possible, making people do the best they can in the organization and not having to leave and go somewhere else.
Why is it important for companies to keep their employee attrition rate low?
First of all, it's going to be good for our employees because they're going to be able to stay longer and learn the job well, and in the process they will be able to support our clients well as well, right? If we keep on losing people and then keep bringing new people in, it's going to hamper the learning of the employees, right? Because it takes a little bit of a time for people to get good at their job, to learn the craft and also support our clients, right? So we do not want a lot of churn, a lot of movement out of the organization, because then we'll be spending a lot of time, energy and finances into just onboarding employees, training them, and then they'll keep on going out and, will not be able to do their best, right? So it's important for organizations to keep that churn low so that we are able to create that environment where employees are becoming experts at their job and supporting our clients well. And at the same time, it's good for employees. They do their best and feel good about their achievements, and also the organization is able to concentrate on the employees that you have versus always bringing in new employees and training them.
It is predicted that employees' voluntary departure is likely to increase this year. What companies can do and how a great workplace environment can prevent this from happening?
You have to have competitive compensation and benefits. Then you have to create a very inclusive, development-oriented, purposeful environment in the office, at home, in the organization, so that people can actually look at their jobs as more than just a way to get some compensation and live their life, right? It has to be linked to the higher purpose of doing something special beyond themselves and not just pocketing a particular salary at the end of the month, right? So it has to be more than a job, it has to be purposeful. So you start with compensation and benefits, but then you create an environment of care. You create an environment where they can feel included, heard. You can create an environment where they can feel supported in doing their best and also supporting their clients and their constituents as to the best of their ability. So it's the job of leaders in an organization, is the job of the organization to make sure that people are able to realize their full potential at work and not just take a paycheck at the end of the month. So that is the organization's imperative. We also support work-life balance through hybrid workspace, right? So people are able to make a choice of where they work and what environment do they work in office a few days and work at home a few days. And then lastly, we also create an environment of inclusion and development, because it's important to people, it's very important to people, especially today's generation, that we are supporting their learning and development and growth and not just incentives and a paycheck, right? So we are creating an environment where we pay employees well, we nurture their talent and support them in doing their best. We allow them to learn and grow in the organization, and at the same time, we also give them an environment of inclusion and also a diverse background.
Some employees tend to hop on different companies in a short amount of time to get better salaries and opportunities. What is your take on this?
Getting a good compensation is every employee's right? So if they can find a job which supports their talents and also compensates them better than what they are getting today, people should go for it, right? But at the same time, organizations also need to understand that they need to pay fairly, and that's where we do our annual studies on what is a competitive salary and keep on increasing the salary, the benefits in line with the market, sometimes even beyond the market, so that people do not have when people join Sun Life, they're concentrating about the work and not always thinking about what more salary they can get elsewhere. So in the end, the market adjusts to the best salary for the best job and for the best employees. So if you keep on making your employees ready for the next level, keep on investing in their growth and learning, keep on investing in their compensation and benefits, you would not see a lot of employees hopping from one place to the other. But at the end of the day, it's the employee's right to go ahead and find the best paying job or best compensation or the best environment for the talents that they offer to the organization. So I think it's the employer's responsibility to keep them well compensated and well taken care of.
What is employee engagement and how can it help to stay employees?
Well, engagement is, I think, one of the biggest parts of my job and my leadership team's job, because not only you have to keep the employees well trained and well paid, but you have to keep them well engaged, because if they're not well engaged to their job, they will not be able to translate that engagement towards the work they do for our clients, right? And also it gives us at Sun Life, SLGS, a great amount of fulfillment when our employees are engaged, when they are happy to work with Sun Life and also happy to work with each other. So one of them is going to be reward and recognition programs, which rewards good performance, which rewards great engagement, which rewards personal and team achievements. And the second part is really different programs on inclusion and diversity. So we have, for example, a huge focus on the Pride network, right? So we do a lot of engagement programs on the Pride side. We also look at various generational engagement programs. We call it Decada program. And also the third part is on the engagement is learning. So we promote a constant learning culture. It's actually one of our guiding principles to learn all the time and also allow learning all the time. So the three parts to our engagement program would be reward and recognition, inclusion networks, and diversity networks, and also third part would be the learning culture and the learning opportunities.
What is required for a company to reduce employee turnover and attrition rate?
If you have a high attrition rate or low retention rate, as we call it, you would need to constantly be in a state of hiring and constantly be in the state of training, right? And every organization wants to avoid that. We will need more people, like you said, to do the job of less people, right? At the end of the day, and that's never good for an employee from an employer. And also, like I said, it's not good for the employees who are there because they constantly have to see new colleagues, they miss their old colleagues, and they're not able to get that sense of community as well. So it's important, like I said before, to focus on retention and also on the well-being of the employees.
In 2025, it is predicted that millennials and Gen Z will form 80% of the country's workforce. Do companies have to adjust their work models or structure to adapt to the shift of workforce?
Absolutely. In fact, 2025 might be a little too far, but we are already beyond 80% within SLGS when it comes to millennials and Gen Zs, right? So almost 85% of our team comprises of millennials and Gen Zs, and more so, I think in a few years we'll start to see the Gen Alpha is what we call them. I think the next generation that's coming in. So we will see a lot more of those coming in as well. So we have to constantly adjust the way we look at things because we have to keep in, we have to be in keeping with the times. We are looking at things from the point of view of Gen Zs. We're looking at things from the point of view of millennials, but we're also within our organization allowing and helping Gen Zs and millennials see the point of view of the previous generations as well. So we have a Decada program, like I mentioned before, where we allow and where we bring together all the generations together and let them engage with each other and learn from each other's experience and also learn from each other's point of view. So for us, the future is already here as far as workforce distribution is concerned. A lot more Gen Zs and a lot more millennials in the workforce. Almost 85 to 90% of operations team is Gen Zs and millennials. So we are creating special programs for them to connect with each other, learn from each other, and also bring out their best potential.
what is the significance of digital innovation in adapting to changes in the workforce?
I'm glad you asked that question. One of the flagship programs that we have, which we call as the gamification program, is a digital program to manage performance, to connect for micro learning, and also for engagement. So we have this digital gamification program. Think of it like a smartwatch for work, right? Like an app where people are able to monitor their performance, do engagement together, and also do micro learning activities together on the same platform. It's a digital program, so people can access their work performance, their engagement activities, their micro learning on an app in and outside the office. So even if people are working remotely, they're able to connect over the same platform. That is one key way that we've been able to bridge the gap between people who are in office or who are working remotely, and at the same time it does bring together that social and digital frame of mind which today's generation is actually very happy to be with, right? So that is something that we are actually very proud of, that we are able to bring that, and actually that helped us during the pandemic also, when majority of our workforce were working from home. We were able to connect with them socially through that digital gamification program and platform, and that helped us navigate the difficulties of working from home, working from office, and hybrid together. I think supremely important, because the workforce that's coming into the organizations today are digital natives. They were not. They were raised when there was already internet. There was already apps. I think for the last 10 to 15 years, mobile's taken the next stage as well. So it's very important for us to be digitally savvy as an organization, but also promote digital engagement. So that's why, and that's how you're going to be able to connect with all the team members together, because who are always on the web, always on the mobile sometimes, and also always engaged on these digital platforms. That's why we have created that gamification platform as well, which is completely digital in nature, and then that's where they connect socially. They access their performance, they access their progress, and they also do their learning and engagement activities.
Mr. Kshitij highlighted that for employees to stay, the company should offer more competitive compensation and benefits, as this remains the key factor for employer retention. Moreover, he noted that beyond financial incentives, companies should create a highly inclusive, developmental, and purposeful environment where employees feel more engaged and included with their company, rather than seeing it merely as a money-making institution. Lastly, Kshitij emphasized that it is important for companies to adapt to the impending takeover of the workforce by millennials and Gen Z. By doing so, companies can bring out the best potential in these generations, which could also lead to companies' increased productivity. This has been another episode of B-Side. Again, this is Edge Eva. Subscribe now and enjoy industry insights on Philippine business and beyond.